Welcome to the Coming Home to You Sacred Sisterhood Sparkcast, the sanctuary for soul-led women, mamas, healers, visionaries, and leaders just like you who are ready to rise in their light and remember who they truly are. Here, coming home to you, to yourself is not a destination. It's a devotion, and that bears repeating. And it's a return, a remembrance. And today, we're going to gather for our final Sacred Sisterhood Sparkcast Circle of the year. It's a bittersweet moment for me. It's a moment to pause. It's a moment to reflect. It's a moment to ask with radical honesty, am I living in alignment with the woman I'm becoming? Or am I repeating the patterns for the woman I no longer am? So this month's theme, Celebration and Connection, holds deep, deep medicine. As winter's energy settles in and the world quiets, we are invited inward to reflect, to integrate, to soften, to reconnect. Spirituality this season teaches us you cannot celebrate a life you are disconnected from. You cannot break patterns you refuse to look at, and you cannot step into a new beginning without acknowledging the ending. So today we gather not just to celebrate the year, but to celebrate you, your breakthroughs, your resilience, your healing, your courage to rise again and again and again, and to reconnect you with the one truth that changes everything. You're not behind. You are awakening. So today we dive into what has held you back and what is ready to carry you forward. This episode is your invitation to remember yourself fully, deeply, and unapologetically, sister. But before we begin, as we always do, let's come home to this moment. So wherever you are, just inhale deeply, receiving celebration. Even if you can't feel it yet, just receive it. Exhale slowly with an audible sigh, releasing everything that disconnects you from yourself. Now breathe in again. Breathing in connection. And as you breathe out, let go of what no longer fits the woman that you're becoming. Now place your hand over your heart and whisper a quiet truth. I am still becoming, and that is worth celebrating. I want you to feel the warmth in your chest. Feel the connection to every woman listening and in this circle today. Feel yourself arriving in your body, your breath, your truth, in this space, in this moment. And in this space, I want you to have a moment of joy, spark, gratitude. Set your intention for how you want to show up, how you want to be received and held in this space. Here in celebration and connection, we begin. Woo. All right, so today I have 5 beautiful guests that have been so gracious to come to share their story, their truth, and their wisdom with you today. So the first guest that I would like to introduce is Claudia Molnar. She's the CEO and founder of Clear for Clarity, a trauma-informed empowerment coach, grief doula, and energy practitioner, helping women release limiting beliefs and return to their inner clarity and wholeness. Please help me welcome Claudia to the Sparkcast. You can turn your camera.
It won't let me.
You can't find her.
I can, but you disabled me.
There you go. Gotcha.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you so much for having me back. It's so exciting to be here and at the beginning of holiday season. It's just so wonderful. And wow, how can we be at the end of the year already? That's just incredible. So
Crazy. Grateful to have you. Next up, we have Celine Rasborn. She's a global heart center leadership coach, inspiring women to lead with love, freedom, and authenticity. Welcome, Celine.
Welcome. Thank you. And thank you for having me back here. And I'm excited to talk today about how to jump into 2026 and how to make everybody successful going into next year.
It's funny when you said 2026, I felt like I wanted to correct you. I was like, no, it's going to be 2025. Oh, I think my husband says that he is looking forward to saying goodbye to 2025. I don't know how many of us feel that way, but next up we have Angelica Faye. She's a transformational coach and healer, helping women reconnect to authenticity, release old patterns, and rise into worthiness and power. Welcome, Angelica.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on this panel with such incredible, powerful leaders. I'm so excited.
Yes, it is exciting. Thank you for being here. And then we have Gwen Gearing, a transformational mentor helping individuals and couples deepen intimacy, regulate energy, and lead from embodied truth. Welcome, Gwen. Oh, you're
And I was
muted.
muted. So hi, I'm happy to be here. The end of the year. Oh my God, we had such a much beautiful experiences together, and I'm so grateful to be here again today.
Yes. All familiar faces. I'm so grateful that you guys keep coming back and being a yes. That just is the most beautiful compliment in the world. That you guys keep coming back. Last but not least, another sister, Philza Javin. She's a leadership and communication coach, teaching women to build confidence, claim their voice, and lead their lives with clarity and purpose. Welcome, Philza.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me here again. I'm so excited.
If I could get you to put your microphone closer to your face so we can hear you better.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
It's a little better. Can you guys hear her?
Can you
Okay,
hear
cool.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear her, but there is some background noise.
Okay,
Okay.
let me just ask them.
All right. Um, so welcome again. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to start right where we always start, the deep-rooted beginning, where we reclaim our identity. And this first question is going to go to Angelica Faye. And Angelica, so many women end the year feeling disappointed, disconnected, behind, broken even. Through the lens of celebration and connection, can you share a moment in your own journey when you realized that the pattern you were stuck in wasn't failure, but a doorway back to yourself? And how did you
Mm,
reconnect with your truth, become something worth celebrating, even if before the results started showing up in your life?
yeah, such a great question. And for me, what I really got to look at on my journey is my relationship with failure.
Hmm.
Growing up, I was like the perfect student. I was an A student. I was so good at achieving. So I felt that if I wasn't good at something or if it didn't go how I thought it was going to go, that it was wrong and that I was a failure. And I really got to take myself on my healing journey on like, what is my relationship with failure? And knowing that failure is really neutral. And I have the choice on how I get to view failure, right? Like up until that point, I was like, it's a bad thing. It means I'm
Hmm.
not good enough because my worthiness was attached to my success. And when I paused and really realized that, I, the awareness gave me the opportunity to choose something different, to choose how I get to look at that. And flipping the script on, okay, this is neutral. What did I learn? And flipping failure into a growth opportunity on where I got to grow. And knowing that even if it's something that is deemed a failure, there was still progress made. Like I am still not the woman I was prior. Because if I in the past thought I wasn't gonna succeed at something, I wasn't gonna do it. And how often that held me back from really going for it because I was so afraid of failure. So when I got to heal that relationship with failure and make it a neutral event, it's allowed me to really move forward with ease and grace in knowing that failure is just an opportunity for me to move and shift. And another piece attached to this is how I think it needed to look. And for me, I'm like, who am I to say I know more than universe and what is in my highest good and alignment? You know, universe I know always has my back, and that's where I get to trust and surrender. Like, yes, I may have wanted this, and what is actually in my highest good to my highest alignment, and celebrating that and looking at what growth opportunities happened in this failure or success. Really, it's always a win because every obstacle is an opportunity for me to grow on my journey.
Why do you think it's so important to celebrate those, even if they don't feel like wins at the time? Do you think what happens energetically or with your body or your psyche when we do celebrate ourselves, even if it's the tiniest little thing,
Yes.
waking up and breathing
Ah,
this morning?
yes, it's so big. That is such that's a very crucial part. It's part of the framework that I teach my clients in my trust framework is speaking acknowledgments and acknowledging yourself, because that is supporting and building your trust within who you are and building the relationship and integrity within. So celebrating, because when you are in celebration and in acknowledging, it's raising your vibration to begin to attract higher abundance. And when you are celebrating that, you are going to draw in, like when I sit in gratitude, it elevates me to such a level, and you get to really see it all around you. So when you stop and celebrate, whether it's an obstacle that turned into an opportunity or whatever wins or gratitudes, you will begin to see more and more and more. So now when I used to be like, I see nothing around me, I'm like, I find change all the time. I'm gifted, lattes from people regularly. It's just like it attracts more because you're raising your vibration as you begin to celebrate and acknowledge that. And you're growing. It's the growth that gets to celebrate, because a past version of you would have never thought that you would have been able to do that.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I got chills with that. And it's so true. I think what I love what you said is changing your relationship to failure, and that alone is huge.
Mhm.
Because what I also heard was letting go of the expectation of what it's supposed to look like. I heard what somebody, I forget who, one of my trainers or coaches was like, expectations are premeditated resentments.
Yeah.
And then what I heard you also say is that you are now looking for evidence of abundance and greatness and joy, instead of always looking for the problems, or how you're not doing good or not where you want to be. And that really shifted your whole perspective and persona, like your identity. And that's
Mhm.
powerful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Thank
that
you.
beautiful wisdom. And I'll open it up to the panel now. Like, what pattern did you have to face, honestly, before you could finally shift?
For me, it was predominantly also the trust in my body.
Mm.
Trusting my body that even when I feel ill, or even when I am physically challenged, because that was something that was really present in my life since I was a child. And then leaning into that part, of, okay, I can feel ill and my body isn't failing me. My body is protecting me. My body is taking care of me. My body is guiding me. And what if I listen? What if I stop fighting it? What if when I stop victimizing myself because of the pain and the struggle and the stuff, and look at it as a moment of surrendering, integration, transformation, elevation, discovery, like dancing with my shadows. When I started to do that, everything shifted for me. And up until now, I see for myself also in my words that I had to overcome the way I was talking about my body, talking about what was happening with me. For example, I tend to talk about when I feel off, or I feel ill, or I feel challenged. That's not the same thing as I am ill, or I am struggling. Totally two different things, completely different energy. And this is what I learned in my journey. And the moment I started to talk in a different way, checking in with my wordings, because words are power, thoughts are power, equally as powerful as an action. So if we want to overcome our limited beliefs or our challenges and stuff, it's not only the thoughts or it's not only the actions, but it's equally the wording we use.
So important. So important. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll share. For me, getting back into the fun, the joy, the celebration. It took me realizing that I needed to reconnect to my little girl. How did I feel when I was so much younger? Because it really was absent. It'd been absent for so long. Even with kids at home and where there's a lot of fun and celebration, it wasn't mine. It was always outside of me. Like I never really let it come in a way that I feel it's feeling me. Like Gwen was saying, like that it's really feeling me, until I did a lot of little girl work and I got to reconnect. How was the little Celine? How did I used to have fun? What were the things that were fun for me? And I remembered, so many moments where, I experienced true joy, through anything that I created when I was young, not realizing that I had left all that, aside, and I didn't carry it forward in my life. So that's what it took for me to kind of bring it back into my life on a daily basis.
I love that. She does know how to play and be joyful and laugh and create and just be bold and take up space. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that's so important as well. I mean, both of these things, I mean, especially what Gwen was saying about, the power of words and what they do to us, and words create the world we live in. Totally. The stories we tell ourselves, the stories we tell other people. Well, one of the things for me was all about burying everything, and this comes back to my little me as well, like burying, like being told, don't cry, sort yourself out, get over it, or, trying to prove that, it's okay to be a working mom, to be a solo mom, mom, forging a career, having to study, wanting to do it all, and then like not looking at all of the, the house of cards that collapses at the same time as you're bouncing back up. It's a real wave, and this was a pattern that it took me a really, really long, long time to recognize. So kind of a bit like you said, Angelica, in terms of like facing failure and realizing or recognizing failure as being something good. Like they say, first attempt in learning is to fail is the first attempt. But you know, for me, for a long time, like there was no failure. You know, I need to show that I can do this. I can be the mom, I can be the career woman, I can be the friend, I can be everything to everybody. And then when you just like stop and breathe, and then you realize that, yeah. What would little me be saying? What message am I saying to my child within? What, you know, what legacy am I going to leave behind? What example am I actually showing to my own children here? You know, so yeah, I think these patterns they creep up on us. They really do if we don't check them in time, and you know, so it's really, really important to, I think, to recognize the pattern first and realize where that pattern comes from. Because if we don't even recognize the pattern, how can we break it? We can't break the cycle, and the cycle always starts and ends with us. So yeah, so many beautiful things to chew on today.
Wow. That's so true. I love that. Filza?
Yeah, I would like to say, as you all were sharing, that's beautiful. All the shares are beautiful. But for me, the pattern was to just overcommitting, committing everything coming in front of me, and not saying no, and not even knowing when to say no and how much I'm burdening myself, and later on doubting on myself for not delivering the task or the work I've already committed on time. And unless I am like, the moment I started letting go of fear of missing out, like maybe I'm missing out something, some opportunities, some relationships, or the position, that made me keep committing things, and that was coming from my lack of self-worth, that I was trying to fit in, I was trying to balance my position everywhere, and that never led me towards having a clear boundary about myself. So as I am like still in the journey of discovering myself and my voice, I'm still I'm still finding or searching for the ways how to create appropriate boundaries. And I'm going to be honest on this, it's a journey, it's not going to happen at once. This is never happening with me. So that was one thing which was like, which is still stopping me from celebrating what I am already doing, what I'm capable of, what I can bring on table, if only I'm letting go of my fear of, fear of rejection, fear of not having it all. If I'm letting it go, then only I'm finding peace and joy and acknowledgement for myself. And that's my point of celebration and abundance and love. That's what I've discovered up until now.
I think the biggest one I got from that, I mean, there was a lot of beautiful things everybody shared, but feels it like letting go of the fear of rejection. Whew, that was big for me. I think it's big for a lot of us because we all want to fit in and feel like we belong. And so thank you for presencing that. And this next question actually goes for you. So thank you, everybody. That I think that's beautiful, letting go of those patterns. I think it's important for people to see that we are all the same once we start showing up and sharing our truths, how much of your story resonates with, oh my gosh, that's who I am too. And this is why it's so important at the end of the year right now, especially when everybody feels like, oh my gosh, I didn't accomplish the things that I wanted to. And so it's letting go of those expectations. And what is stopping you? Is it the fear of rejection? But the second question is going for Filza, Jevin. And this is where the rising spark, when we start reframing, once we decide, okay, what is really getting in the way, we start to reframe. And Filza, celebration is hard when you don't feel proud of yourself. And connection is hard when you're disconnected from your voice. So, what belief or self story kept you playing small? And what helped you rise into deeper connection with your voice, your leadership, and your purpose? And then, how did celebrating your growth, imperfect as it was, shift the trajectory of your life?
Wow, thank you for asking me that question. Uh, yes, a celebration is hard if I'm not connected to myself, if I don't know who I am and what I'm bringing on the table to the world. What self-belief which kept me from feeling proud of myself was I was seeing myself always not perfect. I was seeing myself here and there, everywhere. Like I was doing a lot of things not perfectly, not nicely. I was told many times that you are not mastering on anything, you're trying to be everywhere. So that was the feedback I was receiving from too many people. That was holding me from celebrating my own wins, my own moment, that I was doubting myself. And I always saw this pattern that yes, I am not mastering on anything. Like I'm not being perfect in one area where I can excel and loudly say that come and receive from here, from this particular place. I'm good at this. So that was stopping me. That was creating a boundary around me from flourish and feel joyful from inside. And why it was happening? It was happening because as I said earlier, I was seeking validation. I was seeking, I was asking everyone outside of me, is this good? Am I good? Should I move forward or should I stay in the back seat? The moment I started seeing my own growth and the commitment why I was committing, because I'm a mother of 3 kids, three differently beautiful kids, and I get to be in a lot of places, and I celebrate that. I celebrate being in too many places, and I started acknowledging that I'm a wife, I am a daughter, and I am a mother, and I'm a friend, and I am a counselor, I am a coach. So I get to be in too many places, and that's my mastery. That's my mastery, that I am able to do so many things. I don't know where is that perfectionism existing in this world, because I see when I am moving forward, I am successful. I am reaching somewhere. When I am judging myself and stopping myself here, right here, to seek the validation from the world outside of me, that whether I'm perfect or not, they are always giving me the opinion according to themselves. They never saw me from within. It's me who always saw me from within, and it's me who is seeing and talking inside when I am committing again something new. So there is always a reason hidden behind when I am committing. Yes, it's a journey for me to learn how to create appropriate boundaries, because sometimes it's overwhelming for me that I am not creating that appropriate boundary, but yet I celebrate myself only if I see the inside me. I see from my point of view rather than seeking the validation from outside. And what shifted in my life, why I started thinking this way instead of seeking validation from outside, what shifted here inside me was a moment when I was shattered. I was told that I am not perfect, I'm not good, and I was seeking validation from someone. I was asking whether I'm good or not. Am I there in your life, or am I doing perfect? The person is very busy and he's doing his work and he's excelling. Everything is happening, but I saw that it's me who's hanging out there. So that moment I decided, how about me seeing me? How about me talking to myself that what are the achievements I have done up until now, and where do I get to go? The moment I'm clear with my vision where I get to go, I stopped seeking the validation which I was seeking since my childhood. I don't even remember when I took a decision in my childhood where I was feeling what I was feeling from inside. I was always told to do something because of some reason. I was always given a reason, and I started doing that. I started following that. The moment I stopped doing that and I started seeing where do I get to go and what do I need right now in order to reach there, that was the moment I shifted. I shifted the point of view from myself, and I started taking the step forward. And that never let me down. That is never letting me down, because it's always moving upward. It's always focusing upward. And that's not making me feel bad for and not seeking validation from outside, because I am feeling that yes, I'm taking step, I'm moving forward, and I'm doing perfect, 100% perfect as per the situation I am in.
Yes, I love that you shared about validation. Because just like me, I mean, I think, going through training and having moments, I was like what you said, I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, this is it, because you were looking for who you were outside of you, but it didn't match with who you felt you were inside. And when you took that leap and started trusting yourself and giving yourself your own validation is when you shifted. And that's so powerful. It's so powerful because that is the one choice that we have. The choice of how we're going to view the world and to take ourselves on and to give ourselves grace is what I also heard you say, that you gave yourself grace that no one else did for you. So that's powerful.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I want to open it up to the panel. What moment of growth do you wish you celebrated sooner?
I can say on this probably every stage, I can relate so much to so many things that feels as said. Um, but I remember one particular point. I was going in to do some training with a new team, and I was asked to kind of put a list of my credentials and my experience together. So they would know who I am and they would trust me, and I'm not just, someone coming in. And I put this list together. And when I put it together, I was like, wow, how did I do all that? When did I do all that? You know, and then I really did a lot of reflection, and I was like, I've always kind of been and thought myself as being very, very blessed, being guided and being led. And I've always done things that I've loved. And if I haven't loved it, I've tried to get out of it as soon as possible. And I've been very fortunate because, most of my career has been, you know, being paid for a hobby, basically, and I felt that. But these wins, I never really recognized how big these wins were. And I didn't always celebrate them in the way that I do now. So like everything now is a win. Like every opportunity I get to, I'm like, yeah, well done, girl, you did good. But it also, I think, comes back to maybe I wasn't looking so much for external validation, but I didn't realize that I wasn't getting it. So I kind of was looking for it, but not explicitly. And because I wasn't hearing it from the outside, I even shut that off on the inside. It's a complete disassociation mechanism. It's like, I'm not gonna reward myself, because why would I reward myself if I'm not being rewarded? And coming back to what Gwen was saying, and obviously, as I studied, linguistics, and the deeper I got into it and the power of words, there as well as, it's not so much about not being good enough. It's like, this is something you have to do. This is a must. This is an obligation. This is the next step. If you want to move, it's like as well, it feels that these conditions, if you want to move forward, you have to do this. So why would you reward yourself? You're just like, okay, I'm taking the natural next step. And that becomes these conditions, I think, become your mantra, and then we forget to celebrate. So that is definitely a lesson. I don't believe in having regrets, but that's definitely something I wish that I had learned a while back, a little earlier. So
Beautiful.
I would like to say, Claudia, what you said, that was beautiful. The best part of not seeking validation from outside is like we are always celebrating. Every moment we are celebrating. We know that we are winning. The moment we start seeking validation from outside, we are putting ourselves down and we forget to celebrate. rather than we start judging. That was beautiful.
Mm,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. For me, it was giving myself permission to be different.
Mm,
Because for me, I always felt like an outcast, the weirdo, or yeah, I just could not relate to the same things my friends were relating to at the same age. I was often more attracted to older people, their mindset and their things. I was connecting there, and and my friends, they often like, let's talk to Mama Gwen or something like that, right? And I felt, for me it was awful. Like, I don't want to be a mom. And in so many levels, when I was younger, also, I healed myself from asthma, but when I was younger, I was always in a situation that I could not go to school. I had to learn at home. Afterwards, for me, it was a blessing. But in that time, the only thing I wanted was to be in the classroom with my classmates and being normal. And when I started to develop my healing skills and hearing and seeing and feeling things that other people were not aware of, then I felt like more different, and I didn't want to be that. And at some point, I gave myself permission to be different, because that was actually accepting my uniqueness. And the moment I started to validate that uniqueness, I didn't felt alone anymore. And since that moment, I can be I can be alone, but I don't feel lonely. I love me and the presence of myself. And as much as I love to connect with people and go outside and do crazy stuff and have fun and silliness. I also eagerly, and I think even more, because that's why one of the reasons I'm living on a mountain in solitude predominantly of the time, is that I just love the presence with just being okay with who I am, and I don't need to pretend something else, or I don't need to be something for society, or I don't need to. It's just the things that I do is because I feel like doing them or being them or experiencing them or feeling them. So giving yourself permission just to be you and accepting that that's enough makes a world of difference.
that's
So
so,
that was my third for me, attorney.
I love that. I love that permission.
I love that, Gwen, because that's right where I was going. In first and foremost, like comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the times growing up that like I compared my successes or how far I was to others. And the shoulds, like I should be doing this, it should look like that. And coming back, like all of that, I suffered from severe depression because I was living my life outside of me. And when we talk about the what I could celebrating the moments I chose me,
Mm.
where I didn't live my life for others, that I chose myself. I chose what was in alignment to me. And it's something that I continually, right? Just like Philza said, this is a journey, and continuing to notice when I'm not choosing myself, when I'm doing things because I think that's what it should be, and coming back to alignment with who I am and who I be in my highest alignment, and choosing that, even if it looks different, even if I'm the weirdo, right? I was having a conversation one of my friends has like I'm taking back the word weirdo. Like weirdo gets to be a label that I am proud of. It is the uniqueness in who I be, and I get to celebrate all of those moments where I'm honoring me.
That's beautiful. I love that.
And just to finish up on that reflection, I feel like like Claudia said, I never wanted to live my life with regrets. I always look at it from, oh, now I'm aware, so going forward, I'm going to do something different. I was just not aware before, so it's never regrets. But the other thing that I want to present is if you're suffering from self-worth issues of the self, like rub against people who have the power to move forward, like be with people who will only look at going forward, because their strength honestly will just give you the strength that you need also. Like don't do life alone, you know um, and when we are parents, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to be the right parents, to do the right thing. And often we give up because we feel like we are not the right people. But we still model it for our children. We have to be so aware how they see everything, even what you don't perceive, right? So it's really about, hey, nobody's perfect. And there's something I like about this person, and there's something I like about this person. And, how do I emulate some of what they create so I can bring that in me and then just see how that looks for me, because sometimes we haven't never played, that way, right? So it's really about opening up possibilities that we were never given. Our parents are our parents. They didn't teach us everything, right? Clearly, we learned some things along the way. So I wanted to present that there are other people that can help us because we relate to them, like they're more relatable to who we are. So you're not the weirdo. There's a lot of people that think the same way, right? Go find those people, belong to a community, belong to, but so you find your peers, you find the people that you can relate to, because you're definitely not alone.
Mm, I love all of this. Oh my gosh, it's like I can't even type fast enough here to keep my notes going. But the biggest one I think gave me even full body chills is like celebrating yourself in the moments you choose you. Because I'm noticing how much I am self-abandoning. And my body keeps the score on that. Even though I think I'm doing it because I'm being a good person, or I think I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do to keep the peace. No, you're self-abandoning. So like the moments that you do choose you, even though it feels hard or it creates rifts or drama or whatever, just celebrate that you were a yes to you because no one has ever shown up for you. No one's ever chosen you. You get to choose yourself. And I loved everything what everybody shared about those moments that you wish that you celebrated sooner. And I think that one is I'm going to do today. I'm going to choose to celebrate when I choose myself. Ah, this is so beautiful. Okay, so the next question goes for Celine Rasborn, and this is all the sacred tools, the beautiful um, toolkit that we pick up along the way when we do surround ourselves with the people who see us and celebrate us and who are looking forward and focusing on growth and not what's broken. So, winter invites us inward, right, to reflect and to integrate and return to what truly matters. So, what are the tools or rituals or practices that help you stop repeating old patterns and stay connected to your values, your joy, and your truth? And then how do you intentionally create space for celebration instead of waiting for life to feel good enough?
Thank you, Margarita. So, building on from what we just talked about, at the end of the day, what matters for you? What matters for me? I'll share, some of the things that matter for me. But at the end of the day, what matters for me every day, and at the end of the year, and at the end of next year, are being happy with myself, being happy with the people around me in my world. And so I get to ask myself regularly, am I happy? Am I doing life the way that I want to experience life? It starts with just that realization. So you get to choose every day what's going to make you happy. Today, life is happening right now. And, we can't just be in the future of what our life is going to be, because life is actually happening now. The people in your life, they're here right now, right? So we just talked about not living in regrets. That's important. So the tools start interrupting those old patterns. Some of the things we just discussed this morning is how do we start interrupting those patterns? You know, this time of the year is so good. Like this podcast is happening at a perfect time. It's a great time to do an exercise around looking at what were my goals in 2025, and what were my wins. And oh, by the way, wins are lessons. It doesn't mean that they're all good. you know Actually, most of our wins are the things that are going to help us move forward in a way, and we get to be taught a lesson every now and then to kind of reframe what we want to be. So some of the tools that are important, I will say to you that I live my life with intention and with manifestation. For me, those are really powerful. And, I started 2025 with very clear intention in what I wanted for 2025 to look like. And Margarita, I may not be like your husband. I definitely would want to replay 2025 over. I have created what I want in my life in 2025. It's a turnover year for me, and I've created it as of intention. Intention being clear. So clarity is very important. Getting clear with what you want. So not getting confused. People I find right now in my life when they're confused is because they're bombarded all over the place by information, by what looks good over there, but it's not them. And I always ask the question, I'm like, but what is it that you want? Like, do you want to be like that? You're never going to be that way. Like, I'm never going to look like these people on these social media platforms. That's not me. And trust me, I'm not going to be happy when I'm there anyway. So like, I just want to know what makes me happy. So daily routines, and we call them self-care, right? So daily routines, whether it's meditation and journaling. For me, stopping and realizing, okay, giving myself time to ground myself in where I am, meditating, and then really journaling as much as possible. I don't do it every day, but I will journal for the week. So I do like a brave declaration every week. There's something that I'm going to do that goes towards my vision for the year. And I'm going to reflect on it at the end of the week and see, okay, what didn't that happen? Because what I've realized is I tell myself, okay, this is what I want to achieve this year. And then I break it down in quarter. And I'm part of a women's group that really supports this process. We set goals every quarter that builds towards our yearly goal. We review it every month to see how that's going and where we need support. Because I am not doing life alone. I need people in my life that are keeping me on the straight and narrow. When I feel like I'm going to go this way because it looks easier, they get to remind me, hey, this is what you want. You said this is what you want. So keep me accountable. Like having people that keep me accountable. And, I look at it in every areas of my life. I actually did my 2025 view and what areas did I not focus so much on this year, which is fine. I'm like, like you were saying, we can't be everywhere all the time. And while I live in certain areas, I may not have created everything that I want to create. So guess what? It's happening in 2026, right? So look at what you want in, your friends, family relationships. For me, every year because my family is far away in Europe and in Asia, I create in-person, like I'm very deliberate about creating in-person reunion as a family, right? So I plan those. I don't just let life happen because otherwise they will not happen. And at the end of the year, that's what's important. I remember those moments, so keep connecting to what you really want, right? So this is an example, whether it's in wealth or travel or spirituality, health, fitness, what do you want next year to look like? And then what worked this year for you? And what didn't work for you this year? And so what can you do next year? And who do you need to help you? Just really looking at that as well powerfully, right? Because again, we can't do life alone, for sure. And today we talked a lot about the power of joy and gratitude, like getting up every day and be grateful. Even if you don't feel good, if something bad is happening, there's always something you're grateful for. So powerful, in the daily practices as much as possible. So Margarita, that's really where the power is for me in the routine. around those habits, good habits.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And what I heard there is like asking yourself what you want, what worked and what didn't work, but then also, you know, so many times we focus too much on what we don't want. So I love that you presenced about focusing on what you want, because we were all talking about the power of our mind and thoughts being kind of manifestors, right? Um, and then what I love the most is that you surround yourself with people who are going to hold you accountable and your vision, because it's easy for me to sit there and be like, oh, this is what I want, this is my vision. But like you said, sometimes it gets easier, or life happens and I fall out of it. And if I don't do it once, then it just kind of trickles. So I love that the invitation to really create a community of like-minded individuals who are going to support you, and then
Yeah.
also create to be intentional is what I also heard. Be intentional about what you want to create and not just let life happen. And that I think was so beautiful. Thank you. And
I mean, what
I'll
I
open it
try
up.
to describe also is being consistent in what you do, because trust me, being consistent in your practices, in who you are and what you want, is going to get you great results. Don't give up, you know.
Amen to that. I'll open it up to the panel. What daily practice helps you stay connected to who you want to become?
I would like to go first. As I was listening, Celine, that was amazing. Yes, I agree 100% is habit, our consistency. There's where our conditioned brain is taking over and helping us stay in momentum. Motivation is just a spark which is going to end, but what will keep us going is the momentum which we create through our habit. So thank you for bringing that up for the audience. More we put ourselves in practice and more we get habituated of being predictable. I am in a journey of like practicing to be predictable by my partners. I want them to predict me. I don't want to give them surprises through me. I want them to predict me. That's how I'm going to slow myself down so that everyone can feel safe and connected and relaxed when they are coming to me. I want to be predictable. I don't know about anyone else. This is who I am becoming. This is who I am in journey with. So my daily practice starts with my 5 times of prayers and connecting to my thoughts. Metacognition, thinking about the thoughts I'm getting, reconnecting to my thoughts, closing my eyes and thinking about why I'm thinking this. What is making me think that? What is making me be this? That's the thing which is helping me into like decide for the next moment. That's the practice which is helping me see my footstep, where it is coming from and where it is leading me. Okay, and I'm still in practice to bring on more daily habits, whether it's exercise or drinking water daily early in the morning or eating healthy. The more I'm going to practice and be consistent on that, I will become predictable for myself and for others around me. And that's the help. That's the help to the world I'll be doing, because everyone is confused. They're choosing this, that, everything. But human life needs very little. We need very little to live. The moment we realize that, it's going to be easy. Let's make life easy for us and for our generation, coming generation. I'm complete with that.
I love that. I second the fact that you get to listen to your thoughts. When I wake up, doesn't matter when, because I'm quite early, often 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and the first thing I do is listening to my thoughts and checking in with what they are telling me. And sometimes it's like tons of inspiration that I get to take. I always have a notebook next to me from when I wake up, and I have these inspirations that I just can take that and start like, oh, and put it out there, because what I see for myself is in these specific moments, things are so easy. When you receive these moments of inspiration, then, for example, when you want to create a course or you want to, whatever it is, a script for a video or whatever you want to cause and create in that, like, it's so easy. You do in that specific moment 3 hours of work in 30 minutes. It's because you just listen and lean in and be intentional with what you're receiving. And then also movement for me is the second thing that I do. Like even in bed, even if it's cold and I don't want to get out of bed, I just like I'm happy and I feel great. And I'm happy and I feel great. What I'm gonna do today. And I'm just in my bed like and that just makes me awake, and that makes me connected to what I want and cause and create in that specific day. Because there are so many things in a day, so many moments in a day that you get to do things that you just get to do, not because you want to, but because you get to. Not because you have to, but you get to, in order to cause and create your vision, your life, your connections. There are things that you get to do. And you are not always waking up with the same vibrancy and energy, like, oh, let's do this. I wake up and I think sometimes like, oh no, again, not today. But in that moment, I feel like, okay, that's a feeling. And what type of feeling is it? Is it a feeling because I don't want to go there because I'm comfortable? Or is it a feeling that there is a signal I need to listen to? And if it's a feeling because I'm not feeling comfortable with the cold outside or whatever it is, I just like, it's great. I feel great. And that shifts my complete energy. And I think when you are able to step in these moments, like when you feel and you hear yourself dragging yourself down, and you can have one specific thing in place. For me, it's like, let's go, I feel great, I feel but for somebody else it's completely something different, right? But if you find that specific thing, you can shift, then life gets so much easier. So I love that thing, like being intentional with your thought and listening to it. It's so powerful. Yeah, thank you for that.
Love that.
I need to also just agree. I think there's a lovely pattern coming through here now, which is, I love it when this happens because so Celine, I'm a bit like you in the sense I would redo 25, but 25 was a year that I had like only one intention, because 24 for me was a house of cards. The storm came in and it blew the house of cards down completely. So when I got to 25, and I'm not a big fan of you must do something on a day, like 1st of January, yeah, it's a great time to set intentions.
Oh,
Every
no.
morning is a time to set intentions, and most resolutions don't last very long. But I kind of was like, what do I want to do? And like, what's my intention for the year? And I had like zero direction, and all I could think about was, I just want this to be my year. I just want this whole year to be all about me. And this is a bit like you were saying, Marguerite. It's like, you know what? I'm choosing me. I'm not waiting for somebody else to choose me. I'm choosing me, and I'm going to surrender to whatever that means. But because I agree, you need to have like an intention every single morning, kind of exactly the same. Get up and spend 20 minutes in silence every day, and then start listening to what is it I want from the day. And I do the same when I get up in the morning and I do an energy clearing, whatever that may be, or an energy activation, whatever that may be. I can also be very comfortable in my bed in the winter in the dark. So that could be anything. It could be actually doing an energy clearing on myself. It could be tapping to activate some energy. I love getting up and going outside, but if the weather doesn't let me do that, I find a way. And I agree, everyone has their own way of creating energy or changing, but creating energetic shifts is something I do every day because when you wake up in the morning, if you don't sit in silence, you don't know how you feel. Or this is what I
Mm.
learned for myself. And we take a lot of energy from our sleep to what happens in our sleep, from our dreams. Like, I often have, people saying to me and clients, and, sometimes I wake up and I'm really anxious and I don't know why. And it's like, did you have any specific dreams, any vivid dreams? Do you remember any specific feeling before you went to bed? And we don't, create these associations. So I think I just see a pattern getting up in the morning, sitting with yourself, even if it's sitting quietly with your coffee in your favorite chair, but like not switching on the radio, not having any external noise. I know lots of people who get up in the morning before the rest of the family, for example, just to have that half an hour, I'll do it as well. And or take the coffee back to bed so I'm not interrupted by anyone. And that for me is my sacred space. And actually what happened as I started doing this, I started realizing what my intentions were. My intentions came. So I then decided I'm not going to set an intention for the whole year. I'm going to set an intention for the next 90 days. What is it that I want to achieve in the next 90 days? And actually, as much as I did that, and I kind of just really went within a month or within 2 weeks, I was already setting a longer term plan because it started flowing. Change brings change and momentum brings momentum. And so I think for me, the discipline is also energetic healing or activation and just sitting with myself and surrendering to the process, but with or surrendering to inspiration. I think that's how I would put it. So my inspiration comes when I don't force it. Like in exams, I was really bad at exams always because the minute someone asks you a question, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. Oh, no, I don't. I've known the answer forever, but right here, right now, if you're going to put me on the spot, all I can think about is what I want for dinner later, and I've always been like that. So if I sit there and go, what is it that I want today? I'm like, I don't know, cheese on toast, so I have to do that kind of sitting and allowing myself grace to be inspired. And I'm inspired by myself only when I can shut off, the noise from the outside world. So thank you.
It's beautiful.
I love that. My my daily practice is the practice of being in the presence, in the present moment. Like Celine said, not living in the future or living in the past, but how do you get to live and be in this moment in today? There is so much talk about manifestation and setting your vision. And my experience of when people manifest, they set their vision and it's a wish, a dream, and a hope. And being present to what is it really like, so clearly being able to see it. And then who do you get to be today to embody that? Just like we talked about earlier, is you get to embody that energy now, not someday, right? Like Celine, I love that you ask yourself, am I happy? Right? Like check those check-ins. Like, am I being in alignment with my vision? Am I in alignment with that energy and space now? So, Claudia, I set my mornings up every day like silence. I have found that I have so much joy not being on my phone, like just quiet, listening to the birds outside if there's birds, like the random, noise from the heater that I hear, and just tuning in and being here, practicing my gratitude, And, I will say I notice the difference when like I allow myself to sleep in a little bit and my partner gets up before me and has his phone on or the TV or like something. There's such a difference in how I start my day. So that has been something that is such a priority for me, is starting that in silence so I can practice my gratitude, so I can be in practice of being, of setting my intention, of visualization, because it's a journey.
Mm. Yeah, I have to agree with all of you, especially when you know, I hope when I consciously wake up, I keep my eyes closed and I put my hand in my, energy centers, and I give myself positive affirmations. I remind myself of who I am in my core. Um, and when I don't do that, I notice that I go around the day reacting to it because I didn't ground and regulate my nervous system. So I think it's so beautiful that we all kind of have talked about being in the moment and then reframing that and being intentional. And I just love this conversation about that because intention is 100% everything. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, beautiful conversations. All right. So, this next question is about the community bridge, the importance of community and sisterhood. And it's going to go for Gwen Gearing. So, Gwen, disconnection drains our power, right? And community is one of the fastest ways back to remembrance. How do celebration and connection work together to build intimacy, authenticity, emotional resilience, resonance, both in relationships, partnerships, and sisterhood? And then what shifts when a woman stops isolating and starts celebrating herself in community?
Such a beautiful, powerful question. Connection is everything. Like, I mean, everything. When you connect, you create clarity because these interactions make you connect with how you feel about it, how you think about it, how you relate to it, how you can commit to it, or what choices you can make, how you can deepen that connection, or maybe step away from that connection. When you have connection in your life, and I'm not only talking about connection in terms of people, but I got to wire my.
Wait, I lost your audio.
We are not only talking about connection with people, but we also get to talk about connection with life, connection with who you are and what you want to cause and create in life. And when you are aware of who you are and what you need, what makes your tick in the morning, that also means that it's easier to connect with the people that resonate with you. Other than connecting with people where you get to try to fit in with, out of fear of rejection, of disapproval, or whatever it is. And when we connect with who we are, what we need, what we want to cause and create in the world, then we have a specific energy. And when you are single, it is like it is written on your head. And when you are married, it's the same thing, but it's just energy. It's your energy that attracts. So when you are clear about yourself and your values and your standards, that's also a moment that you learn to connect with equal people. As long as you do not know that, then you create codependent connections. Because these codependent connections, they get to guide you through all your resistance. In Tantra, we always play with two energies, consciousness and energy. And the energy itself is surrendering and resistance. And we can also call it karma and liberation. And when we feel that the karma that we are causing and creating is a big payoff, then it means that we are resisting something. And that resistance reflects in our connections, the connection with ourselves, but also the connection with life, with time, with money, with work, with people in our life, with the people we love, the people we don't love. Like that's how it is. And when we are able to lean in and listen to what that connection is telling us, then we do not need to push the relationship away or the connection away. We don't need to resist. We can actually reflect instead of project in the situation. And when we can do that, so many things start to shift in the way we walk life, in the way we talk life, in the way we feel life, in the way we experience all the connections we have in our life. And the moment when we feel off with people, situations, finances, time, whatever it is that we connect to that doesn't resonate with who we are, our values, our standards, our vision, then we start to disconnect from the equation. We start to disconnect from ourselves. And we start to dissociate and avoid. And when that happens, we die. Slowly. We die. And I always tell my clients, when men are disconnected, they need to heal with the presence of a woman. That explains a lot in relationships, especially in long-term relationships. Because when you are stuck within your relationship with your spouse as a man, you need to find another woman to work yourself through that issue. It's not by having a pint with the male friend. No. It's the connection with the woman that supports you. And if you do not understand that dynamic, then you are going, of course, you start hunting and you start with the desire and the sexual intention and stuff like that. But if you do understand, then you can build powerful relationships as a man with another woman to support you to work yourself through the situation in your relationship with your woman, with your spouse. But for women, it is the same thing. We need women. It is the sisterhood that heals us, because we as a woman, we have something very unique. And it's not that we are better than men. It's because we are different and we have a different purpose in life. We have a different purpose in the whole. And therefore, we have this healing energy within us, because if we wouldn't be able to create that energy of transformation, we wouldn't be able to put a child on earth. We wouldn't be able to birth a child if we weren't able to master that transformational energy. So, and that's the reason why it's so important that women connect with each other to heal and support. And it doesn't mean we don't need men in our lives, but they have a different purpose for us. And it doesn't mean the men don't need other men in their life, but they have a different purpose. But when it comes to healing, then it's the woman that is present in that. And it is the woman that builds the community. I have so many women in my practice that tell me, why do I need to be the glue? Why do I need to be the person that is always giving direction? Why am I the person who always needs to fix things? It's because it's our nature. We birth children, we are responsible in a completely different way than a man. And I often hear women like complaining, like, yeah, but my man always gets to be the nice guy, or the dad they go to for the play and the fun and the things, and I always get to clean up the mess. I get to clean, I get to clean the wound. I get to listen. I get to da, 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 da. But it's our nature. And if we allow ourselves to be present with that and accept that's part of being a woman, then we can allow ourselves to surrender to that, heal ourselves, connect with that community of sisterhood, connect with that community of manhood, and bring everything into balance. Not because other people get to change, not because other people get to give us something, because we are choosing to accept our womanhood. And community, yeah. Like when we can create community with each other and support and guide and create together, I always say everything together, everybody achieves more. And that's the power of community. It takes a how do you say that? It takes a village to raise a child. That is so powerful because it's true. And we are so disconnected from that. Because we have our family and we live house next to house next to house, and we are not going to bother the neighbors, and we don't, the children get like, and the neighbors don't need to know about. I live in a little small village in Italy, and seriously, the houses here, they are like the streets, it's 2 meters and a half. So when I am in my house and I'm talking, my son in his own in the other house on the other side of the part of the street, if he's on the phone, I can hear him. He's my child, so that's not a problem. We live like that. It's house next to house, and the houses in the street are ours, so we don't need to concern about other people. But before we came and live here, there were families living here together. They were living so close, and they were parenting each other's children. And it's still, until this day, it still happens. I can see it with my neighbors. And this is something when we live in the city center, or we are living in bigger communities, we get disconnected from that. And in Spanish, in Italian, in Latin America, there is more this cultural connection, and for example, Belgium, France, people in New York, they are very individual. There is not a community in that way. And when we want to overcome the social economic systems here, whatever it is happening in our world today, we get to go back to basics. We get to go back to community. which is part of my vision, because I'm causing and creating that together with beautiful people all over the world with the same vision. And that's also community, connecting with like-minded people. So that's my vision for that.
Mm. I really loved how you grounded the importance of community and you brought it back to like how other cultures still resonate on that level. And I remember growing up being reprimanded by my teachers, my neighbor, my aunt. And now it's like we're in a culture, especially here in America, is like, don't tell, my kid what to do. And I think what that does is that it creates, I don't know, a sense of separation. And I think what I heard is that when you are in a community like that, raising one another, it really builds a sense of belonging because you feel supported, you feel held, you feel seen, and it's so important because I think in this day and age we feel so alone and we don't ask for help, and those are all the things that hold us small and keep us stuck in a place that we're fighting to. And I what I heard you say was connection is everything, and it's also currency. It's the connections and the relationship that you create are what helps sustain you in your future moving forward. So I think it's so beautiful, everything that you said. I'll open it up to the panel now. How has community or sisterhood accelerated your healing?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Um, I worked in a Japanese company for 33 years and full of men. Like I completely lost my female identity. And I didn't notice that until I went into menopause. And I had this wake up call that I get to talk to people who understand this because clearly my community at the time was not going to do that. And I was so disconnected. So when Gwen talks about connection, and I joined a women's group, I mentioned that earlier, and I learned to become a woman again with my woman's energy, trusting, using the woman flow as opposed to the male energy. Like I got to really rebuild everything that I was living with in a female way and reconnect myself to that, you know? And for me, the women's community is what has allowed me to really become a whole person. I remember going to a sound bowl 5 years ago and I could only hear in one ear. I could not hear on the right one, to the point that I went to see the guy who finished it. And I said, I must have not been sitting properly in the room because I could only hear on this side. He's like, no, it's your energy. It's literally your female energy. You can't hear from the right. Took me a year to really kind of rebalance everything. It took me like learning how to do chakra meditation, connecting with my body and grounding. But it took practice. Like it took me being with other women, what I was saying earlier about rub against other people that are going to help you, really rubbing against people who showed me the way, like, do you know about this? I'm like, I have no clue. You're like, like, wow, all these practices, that I was completely disconnected from. And all I want to say is men get to see that they also need the same because there's got to be a woman energy in every man. Like my husband is very, I have a lot of male energy in me, and I'm very aware that I cannot stay in my male energy all the time. And I enjoy myself when I'm more in my female energy anyway. And my husband is more female energy. And he gets to learn to be more in his male energy. And I see what it creates. It creates balance, And I've learned being in a women's community just how supportive it is. And I'm in many communities where outside my work, which is so male dominated, but is more female focused. But I also see what I bring to the male community. I bring that balance that they don't have, like in their decision making, trusting yourself, really having trusting yourself that you're making the right decision for people, for the company, just because their way of making decision is so different. So yeah, for me, it's been a lifesaver to have, met so many women and belong to different community, just like this community and what it's creating in my life.
Love that. Next person.
Yeah, I can jump in here. I think that's just so beautiful on so many levels. I also worked for a long time and still, in a male-dominated environment. And also, I was the only girl in my family and two older brothers, and a lot of my friends were male. But I remember there was this point where my daughter actually said to me once, when I was going through a period of singledom, and she said, it's because you're so strong and you're so independent. And I said, I'm not single because I'm strong and independent. I'm strong and independent because I'm single. I don't need to, it goes the other way. And um, and then I was like, but I'm not single. I'm solo. And I think this term, single, as well, has such a negative to being a single mom or single person. It's like, no, I'm a solo because I'm not alone. I'm on my own, but I'm not alone. There's a huge difference between that. And I'm very fortunate to have really, really great sisterhood. I have friends, I grew up in the UK. I now am based in Hungary. I've been here for 18 years. And I have friends like who we sometimes, yeah, talk about disconnection. We don't even talk to one another sometimes for like 3 years. And then I'll get a phone call saying, what are you doing next month? I've just bought a ticket. I'm coming to see you. Great, do it. And that's the strength of sisterhood. We recognize and somehow we realize that we live on these very parallel linear, pathways quite often, our cycles, um, synchronize and things like that. But I also think our life patterns do when you're very close to someone, and you don't have to be close geographically, but if you remain close energetically and just reaching out, when you think about someone, just, hi, I'm thinking of you. How are you? Nothing else. I don't want anything, or just, hi, I just heard this song and it made me think of you. So I'm sending, like there's an energetic connection, and that thread holds us together, and that community. So I think community is so important. It's something I teach so much, that, everybody has their own individual role in a community, and sometimes we don't realize what our role is. So this again is a lot of work I do with clients and students. Is like, what is my role in fact, the first question is, what is my community? Because
Mhm.
that's another thing, like, what community do I belong to? We belong to so many communities. And then what is my role within that? And how do I keep those threads alive and those connections? And I think people don't talk about energy enough. So it's beautiful to have circles like this with so many of us who are all, singing from the same song sheet, and hopefully the audience, are going to absorb some of that and start really thinking about, okay, these, it's not random that you think about someone and they text you, or you think about someone and they call you, or you listen to a song and it's got a message in it. These energetic connections are so strong. And that's why I think that when again, the power of words, like just shifting, like these simple tiny little shifts between, I'm flying solo, I'm not alone, makes such a difference to your own vibration and your own energy. That, because I think quite often people pull back from community and you get stuck into this cycle of, I'm alone, I'm disconnected. I, like you're going to, I live on a hill, in a village. I love my solitude, I love my sanctuary, but I love my people and my tribe, and I need them, and I've created that perfect balance between community and non-community. But again, I've also created my own community within myself, if you like. And I think that, that's something that I love helping people recognize and connect with their own personal community, because it's very powerful. I'm just so grateful to be part of this community and this conversation, because I always just get goosebumps and I just get all bubbly when I'm here talking with everyone and being with all you amazing women. So yeah, thank you. That's my little two
Wow.
penny.
Mhm.
I love that. And Claudia, that's exactly the power, right? Like that energy that you're feeling, like I'm feeling, is the power of being in community with like-minded individuals. Just like Gwen said, like it makes such a difference to really know the community that you're in is in alignment with you. And knowing like your healing journey, you can only take yourself so far. Like, as you are in these groups, in these communities, in these sisterhoods, there are mirrors, there are reflections to support you on your healing, grow your journey. Like, you can do it on your own, but together you are going to go farther, faster. And that has been something like leaning into the feminine energy of community, of collaboration, in a society, in my experience, that leans so much in masculine energy, in the doing, in like the hustle and flow of surrendering to the feminine, being in that creative flow and processing, because you don't have to do it alone. Like that was something that I really got to get over is that like I can't do it alone. I'm here to support everyone else, but I'm good. I'll take care of it myself. And it's like, no, these people are here to support you also. Like I get to be supported. And that is just like the most empowering feminine energy to be in. And just like Celine had mentioned, we all have feminine and masculine energy. And how do you get to weave through it? And that has been such a beautiful thing to practice while being in community, by being in sisterhood, to hold yourself. And I think that I was just sharing with my friend that the power of healing in partnership, like in my relationship with my partner, I got to heal a whole nother side of me that I wouldn't have been able to heal on my own because he brought out things for me to look at, just like I did for him. And that is the same with these women that you're with, is being able to bring that up to heal. And that is why community and sisterhood supports me, and I feel everyone in going farther, faster, as long as you choose to be curious about what's coming up.
Mm, love that. Filza, did you share yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, how sisterhood accelerated my healing journey. It's a story about me stepping up into leadership world. One of my dearest friend, coach, my angel, she pushed me, not only just she held my hand and brought me into this space, because she in me stepping up. So that was the moment which was a shifting point, a beginning of healing, when I did that program. And I was unaware what's going to happen, because I never heard about that. And I was in India and I was doing that from online from USA. So I was completely blank that was going to happen. But yes, that helped me into healing a lot. The more I'm discovering myself, more I am discovering where I get to go, who do I get to be, what are the things I want to pass on, and how can I support from the place of love and abundance. I am healing myself. So that's one thing. And I'm in the journey, because what I got from her, I want to pass it on to others. I'm also in the journey of holding the hand and bringing people into this leadership, not into exactly into the program, but into their life, the leadership. Like, you get to be standing, you get to be the source for the change in the world. And there are many powerful ladies and gents. I won't say only ladies and gents. They get to step up into their leadership so that they can begin their healing journey. That's the beginning of healing journey. when we start discovering ourselves, our voice, and our true purpose. Um, that's where I started, and I know they are going to get benefit from it when they are going to step up in their leadership. So that's how I'm building the community. I am joining, I am being present in as many communities as I can, because I always talk about being one. I never see that there is any difference in between me and any other one existing out there in the world. It's just a cultural difference. It's just a difference in opinion and thoughts and race and color and religion, but we are one. We are one community. So any way and every way possible, if I can be that connecting bolt for connecting communities, I'm the stand for that. And I am actively participating in bringing everyone together. I'm complete.
Mm, so beautiful. And it inspired me to actually answer this question too, because going back on 2025, I would not give it up for the world either, because I showed up consistent with this Sparkcast. It's something that is outside of my norm, that the old story was that I was not consistent. And I think somebody else was saying, I forget who it was. We're talking about not being a master of one. I think it was Philza, like doing too much over here and not really focusing on being a master of one. And I feel like I've been on a healing journey for 10 plus years, but it wasn't until I found my tribe of people that are like-minded, calling me forward, doing the work, who see themselves, who know that they're meant here for a bigger, grander purpose in the world. And that is when I accelerated my own healing and I started showing up powerfully. I started choosing myself. I stopped looking for the proof that I was broken, and I started looking at all the reasons why I am a good person, why I'm great, and why I came and I manifested myself in this lifetime. So I just love that this community keeps showing up for one another. I could literally call any of you and just to say hi, and all of a sudden we're having like a coaching moment where we're like, "Hey, what's underneath that? And what is really going on?" And it's just so beautiful because it's a constant reminder of like, "Oh, I get to expand even more." And this podcast, the Sparkcast, every week when I have the guest every week, that energy, that wisdom, that connection holds me for the whole week. And it holds me accountable for myself and for how I want to show up. And it's an inspiration. So it really like getting goosebumps everywhere. It's really super important to find and just to go, Angelica, what you said earlier was like, find your tribe, find the people who are like-minded, but just make sure they're like not in the negative space. Because if you're in the like-minded space and you're negative and you're always talking about how, because one of the things we hear a lot is misery loves company, but joy is contagious. Inspiration is contagious. Power is contagious. So if you're looking to step up your life, be in the rooms that you want to aspire to be, because that's how you get there. And if you ever find yourself being the smartest person in the room, then switch rooms because there's no room for expansion in that space. So just food for thought on that one. So thank you so much for the beautiful wisdom. And before we close our final question with our last guest today, I'd love for each of you to share a free offering that can really help women deepen celebration and connection and self-trust as they close out the year and prepare for new beginnings. So if you could just take 1 or 2 minutes to share that, and we'll go with Angelica first.
Yeah, so today I want to share the trust framework with everyone. This is what I found to support in trusting yourself so you can connect and celebrate. So it's an acronym and it builds each step. So the first letter is T, tune in. Tune into your body, into the messages that you're receiving, taking that quiet space to be curious. That is when you will get your greatest downloads and inspiration. And as we tune in, we move to R, which is release. We get to release these stories and beliefs that are no longer serving. Acknowledging that they served you to a point, and now you get to release them so you can move forward. Releasing to create space so you can step into you, which is unleashing your vision. Because you just were able to create this space that you get to play and be curious on what it is that you truly want. What is your vision, your intention for the life that you get to create right now in this moment? And leads us to S. Speak acknowledgements. Speak acknowledgements. You get to celebrate and speak acknowledgements. We all have superpowers. What are your superpowers that you are bringing that you get to acknowledge them? And not just be like, yeah, great. You get to fully embody your gifts because they are your gifts. And that leads us to take creative action. Where do you get to take creative action forward in alignment with your vision and who you get to be? And as we're taking action, it is supportive to declare the action that you are taking. So you get to hold yourself accountable, because as you're taking action and reaching your goals that you set, this is building the trust and integrity within. So what is it that you're declaring, and by when? By when is super important, not just a hope and a dream to one day, but really leading with intention. And that's what this comes down to, intention and integrity. So we are tuning in. We are releasing what is no longer serving us, unleashing our vision, speaking acknowledgements, our superpowers, and taking creative action. And that is what builds trust.
Love it. We'll go with wow, Celine.
So I've spoken a little bit about my practical way of looking at things. I'm a very practical person. So what I'm going to offer, and I'll drop it in here, is, looking at what you want in 2026, just a tool that basically allows you to establish what's important for you in the different areas in your life and what you want to prioritize, and then come up with your word. What is going to be your word? So everything you create next year, you embody that word. So I'll give you an example. The word for me this year was community. And everything that I created, I didn't want to do it alone, because I have a tendency otherwise to do it alone. So every time that I wanted to create something, I said, who can I bring along? So I'm not just creating for me, but I'm creating out there also. I'm creating for other people. Because if it works for me, then it can work for other people. So just a framework to really just go through the process of, what areas of your life do you want to focus on, looking at where you created in 2025, and just be more consciously and aware. The word is just a really good way to connect to who you want to be next year. Maybe an area in your life that you feel it will elevate you, an area in your life that may heal you, whatever that means for you will be. Okay.
I love that. Gwen.
What I would love to share is the Trinity of connection. And the Trinity of connection leans into three beautiful, powerful words. And the first one is truth. And I often say, like, truth is healing. Truth is liberation. Truth is trust. And when you look into your mirror and you talk to yourself truth, things change, because you cannot lie to yourself when you talk into the mirror. You get to speak truth. So that's a way to connect with yourself, also to connect with other people in your life. Instead of pleasing or being frustrated or whatever, just in a loving way, speak your truth. The second word that comes from the truth is trust. When you enter a connection, whether it is with yourself, your time, your money, your people you love, your spouse, coming with trust, and you evoke that trust by just being curious instead of being judgmental. You can't come in and say, why didn't you do this? Or you can ask, like, I'm wondering, why is this happening? Or I'm wondering, why did you choose this? In that way, you just come in with a way of curiosity. And when people feel you are genuinely interested in what you communicate, you build trust. You build trust with yourself, because you trust yourself, you're worthy enough to speak your truth. And it doesn't need to be in a violent way. You can speak truth in a gentle and loving way as well. And you can set your boundaries also in a loving way by speaking your truth. And that's just being truthful and trustworthy for other people, but also for yourself. That builds connection. That's the foundation of a powerful, strong connection. And the third word is tenderness. Being tender with yourself, being tender with your words, being tender with the other people. And when you bring these three words together, for me, that's the foundation of a solid, strong, inspirational, empowering connection. Because that's the way, if you lean into, when you have an animal and you love your dog or your cat or your horse or whatever animal you have, these are the three fundamentals you use to connect. And tomorrow, Saturday at 9 a.m. PST, I am having a conscious intimacy course, and it's free. And it's built around these three words. So if you want, you're welcome.
Thank you. Filza?
Yes. So, what I want all the sisters out there reflect upon how you spent your year 2025, not only what you missed. Don't need to go there. You just need to see what you have achieved, what you have gained, and what is taking you forward. Do that, and going forward, start being your own accountability partner by just 3 goals and 3 rewards of the day. We always feel or find it hard to reward ourselves, and I always talk about 3 goals and 3 reward, because we need to celebrate our small wins day to day. What are my 3 goals of the day, and what are the rewards I'm going to give myself? It can be small, it can be a 15-minute nap or a special cup of tea for yourself or a bubble bath, whatever it suits for you. Just celebrate yourself every day, and that's the stepping stone for the next day. That's the foundation stone for the next day, and just keep doing it, because sometimes it's really overwhelming for us to stay connected with the vision, the bigger vision which we carry forward. Okay, give yourself grace, be easy on yourself, and just keep doing these 3 goals and 3 rewards. And 3 goals can be simple. It's not just doing all the time the business work or the client work. It can be simple. It can be something joyful and fun, connected to family, and not even connected to family. Just give yourself this achievement by the end of the day, and you see the magic. Because if this comes in your habit to complete those 3 tasks and reward yourself with purpose, then you feel like a winner. You don't need anyone else's validation, because your action is giving you feedback itself. Your action is going to help you understand how you're growing and where your arrow is going in the graph. So that's going to help you a lot. And don't forget to have a vision for the year. Write yourself a letter, what do you want from yourself by the end of 2026, and just close it. Close the letter and just begin the year with full arm, because a lot more is coming towards you, because everything is happening for you, and it's happening through someone, a bigger power, which is leading you here. So I'm complete. And if you want that 3 goals and 3 rewards, which I use with my people, I can drop it here and I can give it, so you can use that prompt with some amazing affirmation also. I've given it in there. That will be my free gift.
Thank you, Felza. And last but not least, Claudia.
Hi. So mine will come on the back of my exchange in a minute, but basically we talked a lot about energy today, and you don't need to know what your energetic block is for you to heal it. So you need to recognize where the block is, but you don't always need to know what the block is, okay, in order to heal it. So my kind of gift to you is, I'm also going to leave something in the, a link for you. But my gift for you is really to sit with yourself in silence and to really think about what areas of your life is it that you'd really like to move forward with, and set the intention to do that. And the main thing is, if you can't find an intention to set, then don't beat yourself up over it. Just stay sitting in silence and give yourself that discipline to sit in silence every day, because one day your brain is going to get really bored with the fact that you're not responding to it, and then your soul will be able to be heard, and you are going to find your inspiration, and you will be able to move forward, and those intentions will find their way to you. And then once you have your intention, you have your pathway to move forward. And I will drop a little link in to Margarita to share with you for everybody who's watching here, along with that.
What beautiful gifts. This is one of my perks of being the host, is that I get to also celebrate the beautiful gifts that you guys are offering. So we are getting close to, it's at 7 minutes before the top of the hour. I hope you guys can stay a little longer, because I feel like we are going to go a little over. But if you have to drop off, I understand. So the last question is going to go for Claudia Molnar today. And usually I have like just the home within message, but I felt at the end of the year it was important for us to figure out a way how to integrate what at the end of the year, starting off the new year with, clarity and grace. So the end of the year reflection often brings both celebration and grief. So, for the things that we've gained and all the things that we've lost. And as a grief doula and energy practitioner, how can women learn to hold both at once without really shutting down or bypassing their emotions? And what does it look like to reconnect with ourselves in a way that really allows grief and to be honored and celebration to coexist? Because I think that way we can enter the new year with a whole new, more whole and not hardened.
Mhm. Thank you. It's such a lovely, lovely question. I was so happy to receive it. I have to just say that, as I mentioned before, I'm using a new laptop for the first time, and it's doing weird zoomy things, and it's not me, and I don't know what's happening. So I just want to apologize if you can see this. But I think, lots of things have come up in this conversation that I'm probably going to touch upon, and one of them is that whenever we celebrate a win, there is a payoff. But again, payoff is not a negative word. These can also be positive payoffs as well. And I love whenever people ask me about grief, because as you so rightly mentioned, Marguerite, we often associate grief with loss. But we also need to grieve things that we're letting go and parts of ourselves. And any change instigates change, and change is always, always a good thing. And if you make one big change in your life, then another change will happen. The domino effect will come. And sometimes these changes come in and they happen very quickly because we're not instigating change in areas of our life that we need to. And we're remaining stuck, we're staying in our comfort zone, and there's a lot of fear around change always. So sometimes changes happen completely out of our control. And these are also things that need to be celebrated, because basically it's when our frequency changes and our frequency elevates, then people will fall out of our lives because they're no longer on our frequency. And you'll often see this. And again, if you spend time reflecting on this, think back to where people left your life. Obviously, there are lots of reasons for people leaving your life. And obviously, if it's a biological reason, then that's slightly different. But more often than not, it's because your frequency changes, and the people who are no longer on your frequency anymore will drop off out of your life. And again, this is something to really, really be celebrated. But also, along with change and celebration comes a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety and a lot of energetic shifts, as we've mentioned. But let's just say you want to think about things we celebrate. You've got a new position at work, you've got a new job. Then there's going to be a grieving process over your colleagues that you were with, your team. Maybe, oh, they were a lovely team, I'm really going to miss them. Maybe you're going to miss that part of yourself as well. So like Celine was talking about, and I mentioned about working in, male-dominated corporate environments for a very long time, and then shifting into something else. What happens to that part of you that was a massive part of yourself for perhaps decades? The same as when you find a new love, you celebrate a new love, but it will always bring you back to your old love, and you start comparing. And we talked about comparison today. Also, memories will come up. And so one of the things I work with a lot of people with grief is about relaxing into that release and allowing yourself to release and allowing yourself to go through that process. We have to grieve friendships. We have to grieve former identities of ourselves, but grieving doesn't have to be a painful thing. And it's often associated with pain, but it is, there is discomfort there. There's often discomfort there. And most of that comes from fear. So, that trepidation we feel when we get promoted, or, I've had it myself. I moved countries, I shifted countries with my kids. That was a massive thing. And, I had to kind of release that previous identity of myself, whether it's a cultural identity, recognizing my place as a woman, how are women perceived, how are successful women perceived, for example. There are a lot of questions that go with identity. And the other thing which is really important when it comes to grief, grieving, and also celebrating is something I learned through my studies, particularly when I did my doctoral and I started learning about neurolinguistics and how brain plasticity is formed through language. And it's also formed through the language that we talk to ourselves, the language that we speak every day. And, it's a wonderful thing, but it can also be, our own worst enemy. So if we are in the habit of using negative words, like I mentioned before, talking about being single and having a pity party about the fact that, I'm single, and people always relate that as being something, negative or some kind of victimhood. But no, what if we just switch that to I'm solo? And what the brain does actually is the more we use language, the brain goes there very, very quickly. So if I'm always going to say, I'm not good enough, I need to try harder, oh, I'm not moving forward with my life, I'm not shifting. Every time I say my brain will take me into some negative word cluster. And like Gwen mentioned, when we talk to ourselves in the mirror, we often say the truth. We speak the truth. And that truth is very powerful. So when you're looking in the mirror, think of all of the ways in which you can shift the things you say. Because if you start saying, you know what, I celebrate myself, I did really well today. And you know what, maybe it didn't turn out the way I planned it to. That's very different to saying I failed or I didn't reach my goal. Maybe it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Maybe it didn't give me the desired outcome. That shifts and that creates a very, very strong positive neural pathway in the brain. And then when we start talking about ourselves, we've already weakened that pathway around failure or whatever it might be, being small, not being enough, not trying hard enough. So the more we speak to ourselves in a positive way, I'm sorry, you can probably hear my cat there. The more we speak to ourselves in a positive way, what we're doing is we're strengthening our neural pathways and we are shifting our brain plasticity. It's plastic, it shifts, it reforms very quickly, very easily. The ability to change the way our brains work and the way that we feel about ourselves. Also, we've talked today about manifestation, how we can move forward, how we can create shifts, how we can raise our vibration, how we can get through grief, how we can release negative thought patterns. It all starts with something very, very easy and very simple. And that's just by changing the way we speak to ourselves and changing the way we speak to others as well, and having open hearts and being compassionate. But whenever you feel yourself like falling back into that trap of I plus something negative, or even when we're judging others and we do it without thinking, it's not always a conscious thing, we are strengthening a negative pathway in our brain. So, so always think about like when we celebrate something, it's okay to grieve anything that comes up that has to be released. It's just part of the natural process. It's just a shift in our vibration. And quite often, when we're feeling anxious, I mean, I think Margarita mentioned it and Gwen mentioned it as well, how, our body remembers things and our bodies hold on to things. And if we don't allow ourselves to grieve loss of people, loss of places, loss of identities, loss of time, then our bodies will remind us very quickly of where that energy is stuck, and that is going to manifest itself in all sorts of pretty uncomfortable ways that we've all talked about, whether that's depression, anxiety, etc. So when we reconnect with ourselves, and wow, we've all talked about so many beautiful ways that we can do this, whether it's sitting in silence, whether it's the way we talk to one another, whether it's being in community, whether it's allowing ourselves to, access all the million parts of ourselves that there are, whether it's stepping into fear and facing, potential failure. That's the most beautiful thing. And that's the greatest celebration of all, is when we reconnect with ourselves. And the minute we reconnect with ourselves, on any single tiny level, that is the minute that we should start celebrating. So
I love that so much. I just met somebody at the park this week, and she talked about she didn't allow herself to grieve the passing of her mom. And she's now 56 years old and still harboring that and the guilt of her not being able to grieve. So it's so important to speak about it, and knowing that the other thing that I hear too is that grief has no timeline. And so honor yourself and whatever it is that you need for yourself to give yourself the grace to grieve at your own time. And I think that's so crazy how society has a time limit. People who haven't experienced grief at that level, they're like, you should be over by now. It's been 3 years. Oh, you should be over by now. It's been 10 years, you know? So it's like, let's give each other grace. You know, like you don't know that person's journey. You don't know what other things, you know, are going on in their lives. So I love that permission to just really honor your grief, because your body will remind you of what it's doing for you in your body. But
yeah, because it's true. You
thank you.
wouldn't say to somebody who'd broken their arm or broken their
Exactly.
leg or their neck, just get over it, it will pass in time, you know. So
True. That's true. I'll open it up to the panel now. What has helped you hold grief and celebration at the same time without really closing your heart?
I think that's such a great question. And what comes up for me is really honoring the duality of it, of how do I get to hold space knowing that this isn't going to last forever, but still being able to process what is coming up in my body. And I went to visit a friend earlier this year, and we went to a yoga class, and the instructor was such a wise, beautiful human. And he shared, I cannot remember the word right in this moment, but it meant something along the lines of blessings from the universe. Like, I am so grateful to be experiencing this emotion, this grief, this, whether it's whatever we view as good or bad in whatever form, is like, I am so grateful that I am here in this moment being able to experience this heartbreak or experience this joy. And that is something that has stuck with me, and such an incredible revelation to be like, yes, like I am here and grateful to experience the pain as well as the blessings, and being able to honor and hold that duality.
Mm. It means that you're alive, right, Angelica? And
Exactly,
that's something to be
exactly.
grateful for. Yes. Anybody else?
So, yes, I would like to go next. So what helped me hold both the emotions at the same time? That's like being human, not craving to be perfect, and like all the part is available there. It's already there in ourself. It's just that we sometimes do either or, but it's always good to know that we all have everything right there. We just need to hold space without beating ourselves up, without telling ourselves like I cannot celebrate while I'm in grief. I can celebrate the wins, I can celebrate the learnings, I can celebrate the opportunities, because this came to me in my mind when my son was not well. I was in grief. At the same time, I was celebrating my presence in his life and his presence and opportunity I was getting through him. In that process, I was holding both. It was a celebration. Celebration never looks like always yay, partying or something like that. Celebration for me is acceptance, the acknowledgement of the the resources we are getting, the opportunities we are getting, and accepting it as it is, without demanding to shift, without demanding to, like, in comparison with someone or something else out there. The demands keeps growing. So a celebration here is always about acceptance and acknowledgement, which will always help you in knowing where to go. The moment you acknowledge and accept, the pathway will open in front of you. You don't need to ponder upon or just go here and there. You will automatically open the door for the next moment. What do you get to do? Where do you get to go? That's a perfect opportunity to keep celebrating each and every moment of yours, of ours.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Next.
Well, I can lean into that. When I connect with that connection of grief and celebration, what comes up for me is presence. Choosing my focus in a specific moment, meaning life always brings things, and you can be really excited about all these things that are going on, and in the same time you have losses, you have challenges, you have unexpected covered up gifts that we see as something we don't like or we don't want. And when I am in that space, then I just choose my moments. Like during the day, I'm doing my stuff, enjoy, have a laugh, connect, do whatever it takes in that moment. And then when I go for a walk, or I go in my meditation, or I'm having this moment with myself, then I choose deliberately to connect with that grief or that whatever emotion that is playing out for me in that moment, and I completely surrender. Like, cry my eyes out, going in nature and hugging a tree and like in that moment. But after that, I feel so free and joyful because of that experience of allowing my grief or allowing my pain or allowing my disappointment or allowing my disempowerment or anything that's in that specific moment. But I do not allow myself to lead with that. I choose my moments. I choose my moments to just surrender to it. And it's with focus, it's intentional, like intentional creating space for that. So it doesn't pile up. And I know for myself, when I do not do it, what often then happens is when it's the women's cycle, it's the time of the month, everything explodes. Like, then it's all on the table, because then I can't handle anymore. Then I cannot choose my moments anymore. It's like it just rushes through, it explodes, and then I just get to deal with it. And some people say it's premenstrual syndrome or whatever you call it, but that's when I know when I'm having this extreme reaction in that moment of the month, and I do not have a cycle anymore, but it's still there. The cycle is there. It just energetically it's still there, right? So this is what happens with me when I do not allow myself during the moment that I require to have focus with that and lean into that, then it explodes in that specific moment. So, and then I also realized like, okay, what were the things I wasn't handling? What were the things that I wasn't present with? What were the things that I was suppressing and not allowing, avoiding, playing small, victimized, whatever it was, right? But when I do take these moments of like daily or weekly or whatever it is, when I feel it's there, then I just, okay, I'm going to create a moment for myself today. Then I do not have these explosive moments by the time of the month. So I think it's very important and even men have that. Even men have their period
Oh,
in
yeah.
their unique way. So that's the way I be present with that.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Celine, did you want to share?
Yeah, what I wanted to share is, for me, which again was part of my discovery with my femininity, I discovered that I was actually holding trauma in my left leg and in my hip and my body. I had no idea. I couldn't really just do anything with it until I realized somebody actually took me through a very deep, deep meditation and made me realize that I was holding on to the trauma of having lost basically two pregnancies. I had two ectopic pregnancies 2 years apart. And I really hadn't grieved that process, And, I was just busy with life. Let's move on, I'm good, let's move on. And I realized that I was actually holding it in my body. I had no idea. And I couldn't sit in a lotus position. I couldn't do yoga, certain yoga positions. She took me through that meditation process that really got connected very deeply to what I was holding on to. And 3.5 hours later, I came out and I was able for the first time to sit in a lotus position and to sit in it. So when you talked about holding trauma in our body, it is true because we've kind of, I clearly had blocked it up here. I blocked it out because it was such a painful experience. So of course I didn't want to be connected to it. But the fact of the matter is my body was connected to it. That from that day, that week, I lost 7 pounds. Just releasing the energy, just like within that week after, I lost 7 pounds. It was amazing just how much I was holding on to. Now, God knows how much more we all holding, right? So how much more are we holding on to that we're not aware of?
Mm-hmm.
So those practices are really important. Yeah, because we don't realize we survive, we built to survive. So we built to just block it out, ignore it, and then not be connected to it in a way that's healthy. So we can actually move forward in a healthy way. So
Wow.
that's what I want to share.
I really love what you said, Celine, and it reminded me of something I heard that an energy the woman that I follow that does energy work that I follow and train under, she had a training where she was talking about because she could visually see energy, and so she could see that this person's energy and her weight was not related to her eating. It was her body's instinctual way to gain weight to be more grounded, heavier, so she could be more grounded onto the earth. And I was just like, what? So I love that you shared that because it's for people out there listening, and you're like, what's this energy medicine? And how do I? It's all about grounding and really people who I think spend too much time in anxiety and up here, their body naturally wants to be like, no, you need to be grounded. And this is the way that we can do it is by taking on weight. So I just want to say thank you again, beautiful panelists, for being here and sharing such beautiful wisdom. And we went like so over, and I think it's because it was important at the end of the year to really reflect and really ground ourselves in the importance of the unfinished business that we have, and to give yourself grace, to know that you're exactly where you're meant to be, and not to be too loud in your own head. So I just want to say, sisters, let this truth land gently and clearly in your bodies right now. Failure is neutral. It's not a verdict on who you are. It's simply feedback, a first attempt in learning. So when you release expectations and stop personalizing the process, you reclaim your power to grow, to choose again, and to rise wiser. Your body is always speaking. Your inner child is always inviting you back to play, joy, and truth. So stop comparing. Stop seeking validation outside yourself. And start, that was weird, and start celebrating the moments you choose you, especially the small wins. And awareness is key. And gratitude is the amplifier. Consistency creates momentum. You were never meant to do life alone. Connection is currency, sisterhood heals. So when you reflect instead of project, trust instead of fear, and tune in instead of checking out, you become a source of transformation, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. So ask yourself today, who do I choose to be right now? Trust yourself. Tune in, release what no longer fits, unleash your vision, speak acknowledgments, and take creative action. Oh, get the chills on that one. Change gets to be celebrated. It's happening for you. Remember, together we rise faster and stronger. Sisters, if this conversation sparked something within you, if your heart felt cracked open just a little more, if you felt seen, heard, and simply not alone, I ask you please share this and subscribe to our channel, because when you do, this content reaches more women who need the reminder that she is not alone, her voice matters, and that healing is possible for her. Remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next time, sisters, keep shining, keep rising, keep coming home because you matter and you are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, here today with Claudia, Gwen, Celine, Angelica, and Filza, who had to drop off. I'll see you next time, same Spark channel.